Got it. Hi, everybody. Shalom, shalom. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful, good. Okay, welcome, everybody. We are so excited to, here we go, to have a pre-Pesach program, ladies, in honor of the Lubavitch Rebbe's birthday. And today we're going to talk about the teachings of the Lubavitch Rebbe, how he taught us to be free on Pesach, and to many different lessons about that, and about what he himself did as a self-example that we could take and lesson from this world, in this world and in our daily lives. So we're going to start with a chapter of Tehillim, Psalms, and that is going to be led by Shlomit. By the way, Shlomit has the same Jewish birthday as the Lubavitch Rebbe. It's the 11th day of Nissan. And so we're honoring her to read the Hebrew, and then all of us together could read the English, and we're going to share a screen so you'll be able to see that on the screen just now. Okay, here's screen. 1 second. We're going to share the screen of the Tehillim. There we go. Okay, so Shlomit, can you please read it in the Hebrew, and then we will read it in the English.
Okay. I'm gonna start now. אני רואה בצד, כן. חשבתי את זה בספר, אבל יש לי את הספר.
Okay, whichever way. Chapter 121.
121, זה פה בצד, כן?
Yes.
אדוני ישמור צאתך ובואך מעתה ועד עולם.
It's actually, it starts with Shir LaMalot. It's at the very top. You see it?
כנראה שחיסיתי.
You might have to scroll down. There's 8 lines.
משהו. לא יודעת למה. עכשיו אני רואה את זה.
Okay, she sees it. Okay.
שיר למעלות, אשא עיניי אל ההרים, מאין יבוא עזרי. עזרי מעם אדוני, עושה שמיים וארץ. אל יתן למות רגליך, אל ינום שומרך. הנה לא ינום ולא ישן שומר ישראל. אדוני שומרך, אדוני צילך, על ידי ימינך. יומם השמש לא יכיך, וירח בלילה. אדוני ישמרך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך. אדוני ישמור צאתך ובואך, מעתה ועד עולם.
Beautiful, amen. And now if all of us could say it, we need it back on. Share screen so that we can say it in English. Okay, let's read it together. If you're muted, just go ahead and read it together online. A song for ascent. I shall raise my eyes to the mountains. From where will my help come? My help is from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not allow your foot to falter. Your guardian will not slumber. Behold, the guardian of Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your guardian. The Lord is your shadow. He is by your right hand. By day, the sun will not smite you, nor will the moon at night. The Lord will guard you from all evil. He will guard your soul. The Lord will guard your going out and your coming in from now to eternity. And this may be a blessing for all of us in each of our own lives. And when we get together to do, as a gathering, what's very special to do is Torah, Tefillah, and Tzedakah. So Tefillah, we just did the prayer. The Torah is going to be the different facts that we're going to learn about the holiday. And the Tzedakah, if anybody has a coin, they can put it into the charity box. So we'll do that right now, if anybody else has it. Here we go. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about the Rebbe, the Lubavitch Rebbe, and his 121st birthday, and all of the amazing accomplishments that he has done in this world. And who was the Lubavitch Rebbe? Who was he? He was a global leader who really impacted Jews and non-Jews alike, babies to bubbies, men and women, put us all on a high pedestal, making us understand that there's a purpose for all of us in this world. He created lamplighters and leaders and said anyone who knows something should teach it to another. And he showed us how this world is a godly, a beautiful garden that we have to tend to. And it's filled with godliness. We just have to open our eyes so that we can see it. And talked and taught from self-example, all about the love of God, the love of us to one another, the kindness that we should share, and how we should be sensitive and focused to each other, and the beauty of Judaism and the joy of Judaism, and how to celebrate that with Jewish pride. And we're going to do a lot of that today. But first, I'm going to show you a little video that really encompasses who the Rebbe was and his accomplishments in this world right now. It's called Unpacked.
Welcome to Bangkok, a humid city crammed with 9 million people, speeding tuk-tuks, lively food stalls, and Hasidic Jews walking around offering people to put on tefillin? What are they doing in Bangkok, and in Tokyo, and Lagos, and Novosibirsk, so far from the centers of Hasidic life in Bnei Brak, Jerusalem, or Brooklyn? And why would they put down roots, raise children, and build massive Jewish centers in far-flung countries with few, if any, Jewish residents? To answer this question, we need to go back to Eastern Europe in the 18th century, when a Jewish revival movement known as Hasidic Judaism spread across the region. Hasidic Judaism is made up of different movements, each group following a specific religious leader or Rebbe. One of these movements was based in the town of Lubavitchi in the Russian Empire and came to be known as Chabad Lubavitch, where in the early 1900s, a pair of Chabad Lubavitch Hasidim, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Schneerson and his wife Chana, were raising their 3 boys. Though the Schneersons were directly descended from the 3rd Chabad Rebbe, they lived far from their Rebbe's court. They did not expect that their oldest son, Menachem Mendel, would become the 7th leader of the Chabad dynasty. Certainly, no one would have dreamed that under his leadership, the Chabad Lubavitch movement would become a global phenomenon, changing Jewish life forever. But even those who know of his striking achievements, the thousands of hours of Torah teaching, the 1994 Congressional Gold Medal, the private counsel he provided to the tens of thousands, including the likes of Bob Dylan, Elie Wiesel, and Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin, might not be aware of the depth of his visionary leadership. Before he became the Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson was a scholar. His brilliance attracted the attention of his distant cousin, the 6th Lubavitcher Rebbe, who eventually became his father-in-law. The two men shared a warm relationship. Rabbi Menachem Mendel loved and admired his father-in-law deeply, even as he missed his own father, who died in Soviet exile in Kazakhstan. When he wasn't immersed in Jewish texts, the future Rebbe studied engineering in Berlin under 2 Nobel Prize winners, Walter Nernst and Erwin Schrödinger. The company he kept in his off hours was no less luminous. Among his friends there was Rabbi Joseph Soloveitchik, a towering figure in modern Orthodox Judaism. The 2 men, one a Hasid, the other modern Orthodox, maintained their lifelong friendship through the violent upheavals of the 20th century. As the Nazi threat engulfed Europe, Menachem Mendel and his wife Chaya Mushka escaped to the United States by the skin of their teeth. Many others in their family, including Menachem Mendel's brother, weren't so lucky. In America, the couple settled in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, where the 6th Rebbe had established the new Chabad headquarters. It was there that the future Rebbe eventually became his father-in-law's successor. On January 17, 1951, the night he officially assumed leadership of the Chabad movement, the newly minted Rebbe unrolled his vision for world Jewry. The 3 loves, love of God, love of Torah, and love of one's fellow are one. One cannot differentiate between them, for they are of a single essence. In other words, loving your neighbor is a godly act, the same as loving God. This sounds like a mystical concept, but the Rebbe was a deeply practical thinker, so he included a blueprint for exactly how to put this love into practice. Get out of Crown Heights. Go to where the Jews are. It doesn't matter if they're affiliated or unaffiliated, if they're on college campuses or bustling cities or rural towns. All that matters is that wherever you go, you must ensure that Jewish life can flourish. It's difficult to exaggerate how radical this vision was in 1951. The prevailing wisdom on the importance of communal life had not changed since the 1st century CE, when Hillel the Elder told us in the Mishnah, Al tifrosh min hatzibor, don't separate yourself from the community. In the wake of the Holocaust, who could blame a traumatized community for wanting to band together in a safe location? But the Rebbe, who had lived through pogroms, revolutions, and Nazism, didn't believe in hiding. The Rebbe's vision for Judaism wasn't defined by a mentality of persecution. He believed that the Jewish people boast an ancient heritage worth celebrating publicly. For a man who had escaped some of the 20th century's cruelest moments, he remained remarkably positive and embodied the concept of lecharchila ariber, or leaping over obstacles. He borrowed this precept from the 4th Lubavitcher Rebbe, who believed that if you encounter an obstacle, you shouldn't try to go around it, just jump over and transcend it. Or, in the words of a popular athletic brand, just do it. The Rebbe applied this urgency and positivity to every hurdle that he and his community faced, including the challenge of healing from the most systemized genocide the world had ever seen. Indeed, when a person complained about the hardships of the Jewish people, the Rebbe would counter, "It's good to be a Jew." Despite the hardships involved, he sent his emissaries, or shluchim, to remind Jews all over the world of the power of their heritage. From New York to Nairobi, from Mumbai to Marrakesh, shluchim built Jewish infrastructure. They constructed huge Chanukiot for public candlelightings in thousands of cities worldwide, and rolled through crowded city streets in mitzvah tanks, offering Jews a chance to do a mitzvah on the go. The Rebbe believed that every mitzvah a Jew fulfilled propelled the world and the individual one step closer to healing and spiritual transformation. His shluchim presented Jews from all walks of life the opportunity to put on tefillin, to sit in a sukkah, to shake a lulav, and to learn about lighting Shabbat candles. In the words of the late Rabbi Dr. Jonathan Sachs, the Lubavitcher Rebbe undertook the most daring spiritual initiative ever, to search out every Jew in love as they were once hunted down in hate. The Rebbe believed that this meant every Jew had enormous spiritual potential regardless of their background or level of observance. Such inclusiveness was absolutely unheard of at the time, including women. The Rebbe was the first major rabbi to foster communal leadership by women. He also personally directed that Chabad's educational materials for children had representation of both boys and girls, ensuring that all children understood that the message being taught was for them. He may not have used the modern phrase, "you can't be what you can't see," but he was certainly aware of the untapped potential of 50% of humanity. His efforts paid off. The Rebbe envisioned his shluchim working together in husband and wife teams to create a safe and welcoming environment for Jews of all stripes. This task could not be accomplished without the female emissaries, shluchot, who provided a model for active, vibrant Jewish womanhood. Today, Chabad has shluchim in over 100 countries. Thousands of Jews, many non-observant, flock to the Chabad Passover Seders in Thailand each year. A Pew survey conducted in 2021 reported that 1 in 5 American Jews participated in Chabad services or activities in 2020. Yet, even as Chabad centers blossomed all over the world, the beating heart of the movement remained in Crown Heights. It was there that the Rebbe held private audiences with a wide variety of visitors, from ordinary members of his community to heads of state from all over the world. And it was there that he published thousands of pages of commentary on Torah and other Jewish texts, a massive body of work that continues to illuminate new insights for Jews of all backgrounds. The genius of the Rebbe's scholarship and vision for society was recognized far beyond the Jewish community. President Jimmy Carter dedicated 1977 as the Year of Education in the Rebbe's honor, celebrating the first Education Day USA on the Rebbe's 75th birthday. Each American president since has marked Education and Sharing Day on the Rebbe's birthday. Yet, in spite of his accomplishments and the thousands of letters and visitors clamoring for a moment of his time, the Rebbe remained humble. Ultimately, he saw himself as a facilitator, nurturing the spark that resides in every human being. As he once told Yehuda Avner, advisor to 5 Israeli prime ministers, "Only you can light your own candle. I have simply handed you the match."
So we just got a little picture of who the Rebbe was and his impact. And the last part was about the Education Day USA. And actually all over United States, the government, the United States president, and even in Akron, Ohio, we got for the second year a proclamation of US Education Day USA in honor of the Rebbe's birthday. And I thought that was very special. And I think that Moshe will screen share it if we can. And if not, we'll go on to, see, here we are. See, okay. The proclamation from Mayor Horrigan, Akron, Ohio, right? So we're going to scroll up a little bit and see, whereas the basis, the basis of the continuity of any society is education, and in a great city of Akron is the Education Day USA, education of our youth is a priority, and it continues on and on about the accomplishments of the Rebbe. Go down to the bottom a little bit. Education Day USA. So now, therefore, I, Daniel Horrigan, Mayor of Akron, hereby proclaim Sunday, it's the date, April 2nd, as Education Day USA and Sharing Day in the city of Akron, and call upon all officials, educators, volunteers, and citizens to reach out to those within your communities and work together to create a better, brighter, and more promising future for all. So this is something that we can say l'chaim for all the accomplishments, and all of us, we should take upon ourselves. We would like to invite you in honor of the Rebbe's birthday to take upon yourself something that the Rebbe has done in his life and shared from the things that you've learned and that you will learn, to take it a step forward. And we can make a l'chaim if anybody has a grape juice or wine with them. We're going to say a Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Borei Peri Hagafen. L'chaim, that all of the Rebbe's teachings of Passover, internalizing freedom, which we're going to hear about, and all of the things that he shared, and how to live a joyous life, and how we can live a Jewish, beautiful, happy life with so many kindness that we can give out to the world and help bring Mashiach soon, right? Very, very soon, maybe speedily in our days. Now, I know we spoke about a lot of different things about the Rebbe, but I'm going to focus on one little thing today, which is the Rebbe's personal attention to people. My mother-in-law, Mrs. Sarifka Sasankin, lives in Israel, in Ta'anach, and she was in Milan when she was a teenager. Her sister opened up a Chabad in Italy, and she was advised by the Rebbe, he gave her a blessing to go and to help her sister and teach there in the Sunday school and in all of their programs. And she was just, I think, 17 years old. And it was quite overwhelming. And here's a little video of her describing what went on and how she wrote to the Rebbe and how the Rebbe responded to her. And I would love to share the lessons that he, to take the lessons that he taught her and take it to heart. So let's hear.
So I taught in Milan. I had kindergarten in the morning. In the afternoons, the kids who used to go to a Jewish school where they didn't learn much Yiddishkeit would come to me for Talmud Torah. And Sundays, of course, Sunday school program. And Shabbos, I had a minyan in shul with the kids. I was working, 7 days a week. I felt that I have a lot of pressure. I was under a lot of pressure. And I decided I have to write to the Rebbe. So I wrote this emotional letter that I remember that I wrote, it was middle of the night, very late. And I get back a letter, Miss S.R. Posner, Milan, and the Rebbe wrote in his own handwriting, express special delivery. Okay, I take out this 2-page typewritten letter that the Rebbe sent. I received your recent letter and the previous one. Needless to say, I was somewhat taken aback by the tone of your letter. The Yetzer Hara tries to discourage the person in all sorts of ways, using pious arguments, which unfortunately often proves effective, at least in some degree. This is exactly what has happened in your case, and I am surprised that you do not realize it. The proof is that from the information that I have received, I can see that you have accomplished a great deal more than you imagine. You surely know of the saying of the Baal Shem Tov, that a soul comes down to live on this earth for a period of 70 to 80 years, for the sole purpose to do another Jew a single favor, materially or spiritually. In other words, it is worthwhile for a Jewish soul to make that tremendous journey and descent from heaven to earth in order to do something once for one fellow Jew. In your case, the journey was only from the USA to Milan and can in no way be compared with the journey of the soul from heaven to earth. And however pessimistic you might feel, even the Yetzer Hara would have to agree that you have done not only a single favor, but numerous good deeds, and even only your work with the children of the Gan would have justified it. As for your mentioning the fact that no one seems to be interested in your work, etc., surely you will admit that God, whose knowledge and providence extends to everyone individually, knows and is interested in what you are doing, especially as you are working in the field of education for Jewish children, boys and girls, which is so much emphasized in the Torah. For after all, to teach children to make a bracha and say the prayers, etc., this is living Yiddishkeit. And here the Rebbe puts in brackets, I need hardly mention that I too am interested in your work. Of course, this for me is
So this is a Rebbe who has global, a lot of work all over the world, and he is actually focusing on this one teenager's challenges and guiding her. And she says that she often looks at this letter and just reads about it, and it's like even more so. She says the letter revealed that the Rebbe understood, and accepted the failings. He didn't expect us to be angels. He didn't expect us to be perfect. The Yetzer Hara, by the way, is the evil inclination in us, who always tries to make us depressed and down. And he understood that it can get to us sometimes. And for me personally, for my mother-in-law, she says, this was a letter that revealed the Rebbe's really amazing, special personal concern, which was amazing for a global leader like this. And so when I'm just going to continue a little bit of what she wrote. As for your mentioning the fact that no one seems to, okay, she just read that. Second, this what page over here? The sentences made the letter a personal treasure for the girl who already admired and followed the Rebbe. And he continued to advise, and I just thought this advice is so personal and really can take us throughout our lives. Since one is only human and is not unusual to lapse occasionally into a mood of discouragement, but as has been explained in the Tanya, which is the source of Kabbalah and Jewish mysticism and Hasidic philosophies, such a relapse should only serve as a challenge to bring forth additional inner reserves and energy to overcome the tactics of this sneaky evil inclination and to do even better than before. And the above should not be understood to mean that if you find yourself in a frame of mind that you should try to conceal it and not write about it, because our sages do say that when a person has anxiety, he should relate it to others. For getting something off your chest is already a relief. And one should also bear in mind that the Alter Rebbe, which is the founder of the Chabad movement, has stated most emphatically in the laws of learning and teaching the Torah that a person who is engaged in teaching children should especially take care of his own health and take care of himself as well. And I trust, therefore, that you are looking after yourself in matters of diet and rest, and that you will always be in a state of cheerfulness and gladness. So although my mother-in-law says that I only realized this later on, that he was giving me guidance for life, and it may seem that, we can't change what happens to us, but we can definitely change our attitude and how we react and how we cope and how we think about these things. And this frame of mind that the Rebbe gave to my mother-in-law, which is something that just keeps her throughout. And we're going to hear about a few stories of that today as well. So this is a little snippet about the Rebbe. And we'd like to now go on to our next part, which is about Passover. And so being that it was the Rebbe's birthday, we're going to learn about the deeper concepts, the Hasidic philosophy that the Rebbe has taught us on Passover. And we'd like to give it over to Mazal, who initiated this program. over 25 years ago. We are so excited to be able to share the 15 steps of the Pesach Seder. And we're going to show you the 15 steps that we're going to go through in a minute. Mazal?
Good evening, everyone. Shalom. Wonderful to see a dear friend. I feel almost like we are continuing at my living room. Hi, Ellen, Shlomit, Joel. I see Miri with a big smile. I hope Vera there, Shayna Lipton, Efrat. Efrat, have a big mazel tov for your birthday just yesterday. And I'm going to do an extra l'chaim to wish you all the best, good thing, good health, success, nachat.
Amen.
So this month is really blessed with a special energy from above. The special energy is miracle and freedom. All the 8 days of Passover, we celebrate freedom. Each one of the day is special, but it is a time, the whole 8 days we celebrate the freedom and the special miracle that happened after 210 years of harsh slavery. We were free. We exodus. This was way beyond the nature in such hard condition of Egypt. We learned from the Rebbe teaching, since we're honoring his birthday, we thought it's apropos and appropriate to share from his wisdom and from Hasidut, that each one of the Jewish holiday, we commemorate and we celebrate something that happened in the past, but really the focus, the core, the important part of the holiday is way beyond what happened in the past. How many years since we exodus? 3,335 years. All of us live in a very different way, in a different lifestyle of what happened 3,000 years ago. Our need different, our style, etc., etc. So what unique about living with the spirit of the holiday of Pesach is the huge potential that was given to us here and now, to you, to me, to every person in a globe. What do I mean? That since the Exodus, the first going out of Egypt, was a huge openness of freedom, of going out of slavery, of limitation, and in a miraculous way, those two components, the miracle and the freedom, is the spirit and the energy from above that we can tap to. We can use in our work today. We can live and experience in a different way, in a different shape, when we think about our limit, stress, anxiety, unhealthy thought, etc., etc. So to sum this point is the core of a Pesach, of Passover, all the 8 days is know the story, but relive it and bring the spirit and tap to the potential we're giving now, here and now. Definitely the highlight of Passover is the Seders. And as we all experience, lots of singing, blessing, special ritual as dipping and the sandwich and all that. Many of the rituals are unique, and it's like once a year we're doing that. There is lots of explanation going on and teaching and insight, and of course the big meal that I'm sure you have lots of lists and preparing, and good luck with that. So what's the literally meaning of the word Seder? Seder in Hebrew means order. means there is a very special arrangement. The Seder made of 15 steps. Imagine yourself going from one floor to the number 10 floor, and you have to climb up 10 steps, 15 steps. The 15 steps has to be in a specific order, and we have to keep the order, so that help us with our work. First, the Kiddush or Chatz, and that order help us, that specific order help us to develop in the Seder, to do beyond just reading or just being, but to do something inside. Even though we sit together and we have the support, but it's really a work we do between our one to oneself. Let's read them together.
Kadesh. Kadesh is Kiddush. Orchatz is washing our hands. Karpas is dipping a vegetable. Yachatz is splitting the middle matzah. Magid is telling the story and the manishtana. Rachza is washing our hands again for the matzah, motzi matzah. Marar, because in Hebrew we're doing the left to right, we're doing it, okay. A marar is the bitter herbs that we eat, then we make them into a sandwich, that's korech. Shulchan Aruch is the dinner that we have. Tzafun, we look for the afikomen. Barech, we say the blessing after the meal. Hallel, we give praises to God and pray that next year, the Shana Haba Yerushalayim will be next year in Jerusalem.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sure many of you familiar, and in some years we discussed some of that. So what's important for this step will be to put in our mind that Seder means opportunity to change, opportunity to go beyond limit in a different way, shape, form, and it composed or made of 15 steps and 15 parts. So I was thinking of an example or metaphor to make it even more concrete. And whatever, I do not know why, but what came to my mind is imagine yourself in a gym. So in a gym, there are steps, right? First, you find the right location. You're not going to go midst of Target or Macy's and exercise, do gym. You have to change your clothes, whatever you went before, wedding or working in a bank or teaching in a school for Miri. We have to change our clothes to be more comfortable and fit, right? And then, of course, we have to use the specific equipment, cardio, weight, different thing for what we need. And each have a routine of exercise. So the order has to be like that, right? The location, the clothes, the equipment. We cannot make them the other way. We cannot start from the end to the beginning. So the Seder is like spiritual gym. That really there is a goal to accomplish something, to accomplish a personal kind of change. And I'm a little careful when I say change because it may sound like a big word. So I'm talking about any steps towards something that you feel it's less limiting you, that you feel you can do something about something that you think or feel it's not so healthy, and you can moderate, you can regulate, you can adapt a different way of thinking, feeling, of doing, like behaving different. So every change is part of freeing ourselves. Instead of say, c'est la vie, that's life, or this c'est la vie, it's kind of slavery. And on Passover, and especially on the Seder, we have opportunity to do some work and change. So what Hasidut explained and focus that the Exodus is not just the history, but now, and each one of us has those element or dimension of slavery or being limited or being forced by, and at the same time, we have choices and we have opportunity to work on them and change the way we think and we choose and we decide. Everything starts in the mind and the head, and we decide it's more healthy for us, more right, more workable. So as the gym meant to strengthen part of our body, can be a hand, can be arm, can be leg, can be back, everyone on her need. And same is the 15 steps of a Seder. Each one of them can help us strengthen or making some change in a specific area, and we will give 3 or 4 examples to make it more concrete. So let's make it more personal. Do you have any postcard or notepad in front of you? If not, I will wait a second or two. Please, I need you to take a piece of paper or postcard because I have short, quick questions. Is everyone has the paper and something to write?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have.
First question is, please write on a paper or on a notepad your strong memory of a Seder as a child. Whatever popped to your mind means that's your memory. Second, number 2, please write your experience of a Seder as an adult. Try to make it 1 or 3 words. Your Seder experience as an adult that in most probably will be different than in a child. Definitely in my mind, it's very different. What I remember as a child and what I did or experienced or had in mind an adult. I will wait till everyone has that. I would like you to write to yourself, because the more we make it personal and we make it concrete, the better we can gain from what we're discussing here about moderation, regulation, change, freeing ourselves, adapting a more healthy habits, etc. Are we ready? Everyone have some answer? I would like, Kayla, for you to open to unmute. I would like to hear 1 or 2 examples of a memory of a Seder as a child. I would like to hear from Miri.
Yeah. Okay, 1 second. You could show that.
Ellen, do you have a memory from a Seder as a child?
As a child, I remember.
1 second. Okay, here.
As a child, I remember a large family meal, and it was kind of magical. Opening the door, breaking the 3rd matzah, surrounded by everyone who was a lot older than I, and it was special.
Mhm.
It was. I remember it just being special.
Thank you.
And
Very
this
good.
is Carol Leibowitz.
Yes.
Okay. Is Miri available, or Ellen Friedman can share something?
Sorry, yes, I am available.
Okay. Can you share your Seder experience as a child?
Yeah, I remember when I was little, my great grandfather, he was a rabbi,
Mhm.
and he was still alive when he passed away when I was almost 20 years old.
Mhm.
And we all went to his house for Passover. And I remember I was really afraid because they were going to say that we need to say the 4 kashes. And
Mhm.
because I was little, I was going to be with my cousins saying them. And we were all scared and laughing because we were scared to say it. But it was really fun to hear him and to be with the whole family. And he did it completely from start to end. So we were very hungry because we didn't eat anything. And I have beautiful memories of those Seders. Maybe we were like 30 people in the Seder or more.
Thank you. Thank you. So family is very strong,
Very, yeah.
food, and the connection with the grandfather. Thank you so much. Can
What-
someone share?
What about as an adult?
Yeah. Can someone share experience Seder as adult, please?
As an adult,
Yeah, I will
Eh,
give someone else a chance, Miri.
yeah,
Thank Who else would like to share your own experience as adult? What you can say it in a 1 or 2 words, like what stand out to you? What's your experience? Shayna Lipton there?
He was here.
She was here. Is Vera there? Vera? Is Efad there?
It's whoever will answer right now. We don't,
Okay.
they're not, something happened to some of their, I
Okay.
don't know. the
Someone
lines.
else would like to share experience as an adult?
I would, Eleanor Friedman.
Hi,
My
Ellen.
main-
Nice to hear
Hi,
you.
Mazal. My main joy was the pre-Passover plays that we used to do.
Uh-huh.
And one year I got to play Yocheved and got to deal with my daughter Miriam, and had a beautiful experience with that. But the pre-Passover plays that we wrote and we performed were very special to me.
Hi.
The Seders, of course, too, but those were such special memories when you were there and we were
Yeah.
all together.
Yeah. And you really contribute a lot because we engage many young girl, if you remember, and teenager, and the room was full with women from at least 3 generations, more like a Boben, older, younger, 40, 50, and young teenager. And I really want to appreciate and thank you for all those year that you wrote the play, and it was a great addition to our pre-Passover. Thank you, Ellen. Wish you a great Passover and a great way to apply and use the energy of Nissan. Who else would like to share, please, your experience as adult? Seder experience as adult? Okay, if someone wants.
Namshich.
Okay. So now write to yourself on the other side of the notepad or the paper, 1 to 3 things that you would like to free yourself. Be very concrete, very specific, very clear. For example, I decided a couple months ago that I am stopping to eat by 7:30 or specific time at night early, and for 12 or 14 hours, it has to be fast. Just an example. And when the evil inclination want me to open the refrigerator or one of the cabinet, I said, I have a decision. I do not want to be slave of my craving. I want to be master of myself because I want to keep healthy and not puffy. So just simple example. There are other areas, but just for now, I would like you to write, please, and be very clear to yourself. What would you like to free yourself? Not just abstract, but something specific. About browsing, about shopping, about talking, about using the telephone, about thinking of yourself and other, about using the time, anything. And if you have 1 or 2 specific things that you would like to free yourself, that will be very helpful. Just say, I did it, or I'm fine.
Yeah. Done.
Okay. So when we're talking about freeing ourselves, it's not just a magic, even though there are miracles in Nissan. It's a process. It's a process that starts with our head, in our being mindful for that, choosing to do that, wanting to do that, and of course, the discipline to actually apply, even though it's hard. And as we said, it can be the range, the option can be unlimited. But everything that you can tell yourself that it kind of limits you, or unhealthy for you, or unwanted when you think from your mind, not only from the instinct. At Passover, all the day of Pesach, we really empower from above, from Hashem, to do the change. One of my friend that I study with heard my introduction, and she said, I do not know why you're so much focusing on Passover. There are many times in the year that I would like to do change, or change my habit, or get rid of some stress, anxiety. So yes, that's true. The principle of what we're talking can be applicable all year. You know what's unique about those 8 days is we get more above from Hashem, from God. Yes, we have to do our part, but we get more help. So in a way, it's a little easier than what we can accomplish during the year because of the energy of Nissan, because of the special spirit of these special months, and especially of the holiday of Pesach. So it's really something we do with family and with a group or company, but the real work, the real transformation, the real service to yourself, you do between you and you. And I want you, whenever you're going to be, whenever you're going to sit with, try to take time to yourself to see what you can accomplish about what your need for this specific year, this specific season, about freeing yourself in some level, in some steps, for things that will be better and more healthy for you. So we will not going to go all the 15 because that will take us another whole 2 hours. So we choose like 4 steps, and we will discuss those. So I will start with the first is the Kadesh, making the Kiddush, like all the Hebrew, all the Jewish holiday, and then Rachatz, washing hands. I'm going to skip to number 4. Number 4 is Yachatz. Remember when the people in a Seder or the head of the Seder take the middle matzah, there are 3 matzah. One represents the priest, one represents the Levites, and one Israelite. So we take the middle matzah, we take it out and we break it. Usually in a Western culture, breaking associate with losing, or we have less. If I break the matzah, I don't have a matzah, I have like half matzah or third. If I break a cup, I don't have a cup, etc., etc. But in a context of the Seder, the breaking is very different, and the breaking is opening ourselves to a new possibility, to a new or life, or style, or chance, to make it concrete. Imagine I grew up in a moshav, in a village, and I was surrounded with a chicken and hen, and I remember back then, the baby chick that emerged from the egg. Can the egg still be a whole, full, and the new chick burst out of the egg? No. It must be the other way, the egg break, and then new life emerge. So I thought that can be a little symbol of this step of Yachatz. The point of Yachatz is to help ourselves to understand, first of all, to know that there is such a thing, that Yachatz or breaking is not less or not losing, but gaining something, and its possibility. And the example of the chicky will remind us that when we're going through break, something is waiting. Something new is open. I remember, to make it very short, in a time of COVID, when I have the COVID corona, I lost my job and I was a little shocked and was not so simple and pleasant. And thank God for a couple of weeks that I was thinking and meditating anyway, over 7 weeks in a bed, I found out that will be much, much better if I do something else, much more connect to my passion, connect to women, connect to study and implement the core of Hasidut. And thank God it was, for me, one of the example of something break, but it was a new possibility, a new opportunity.
Okay, we
So
have somebody to read number 5. We're up to Magid.
Okay.
For number 5.
1 second.
Magid.
1 second. Okay, let's get this over here.
The Haggadah is the story of our lives, of all harsh and oppressive forces and our personal Mitzrayims and our liberation from them. If we convince ourselves that our constraints are normal and healthy, we cannot free ourselves. So we tell the story, our story, by defining the parameters of our own internal exile. We begin the process of redemption.
Thank you. Who is reading, please? What's your name?
This is Carol Leibowitz.
Carol. Hi, Carol. Remember you. Okay, so Magid is very important part of the Seder. The 2 main mitzvot of Pesach, of the Seder, the big one is eating the matzah, which we're going to talk soon, and the higata lebincha. You should tell to your son or your daughter. So different than other Jewish holiday, there is a point to tell the story of this historical happening, the Exodus. And in all the Jewish holiday, we read about what happened at that holiday, but usually we do it much, much later in the morning in a synagogue, because the Haggadah is so important and so important to read, to be aware, to connect, to help us with the steps towards freedom. We don't wait just till the day after for those who go to the synagogue or shul. We read it right away at night, right away in the middle of the Seder, and everyone read it, or everyone listen to it. The Haggadah is like the textbook that help us to go through the Seder. Part of it is the story, of course, of what happened, and part is the ritual. Haggadah comes from the word to tell. As we read the Haggadah, we empower ourselves that even from that hard slavery, we can exodus, we can free ourselves, and same happen in our day. The whole notion of getting help, counseling, therapy, etc., based on communication and talk and share. The more we talk about whatever we would like to make more clear or work on, it becomes more real, more clear on the table, and then we can work with that. So that's number 5. Very important, the Magid. Now,
number 7.
Number 8, Kayla, no need to read because I changed a little bit the content. I decide to bring something more.
I don't see Amy Gould was going to read that one, but I don't see her on.
Okay.
Continue.
So matzah is one of the kind. Simply a very, very special Jewish food. And when I say special, I really mean it. Matzah is the core of Passover and all the 8 days. Why is it so special? You may think of Hamantash, honey cake, blinches, many things that Akron women spoil and have a lot of them. But it's very important in our stage and age, intelligent lady, to see the difference between those kind of food. Matzah is a godly food. The other food is tradition, is masoret. For example, I did not grow up as a child with hamantash. We have other beautiful sweet cake or cookie for Purim, but not hamantash. Same with honey cake. So what I want you to really know, remember, and take to your heart and help your friend or other that doesn't have matzah, matzah is the core mitzvah of Passover. Matzah is simple as it is, just made of flour and water, nothing else, not even a bit of salt, not even cocoa, just flour and water. It's flat because it helped to be to develop humbleness. Even though it's so simple, but it carries a huge spiritual power. And the power of the matzah is written in the book of the Zohar, the master Kabbalistic book wrote by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the giant Mekubal from Tzfat. It's called Zohar, the Book of Brilliance. What we told in the Zohar book about the matzah that we eat in Pesach is food for, can anyone say the word?
Faith.
Faith. Yes, faith. Emunah. So tell me, what's the connection? If it's so simple, nothing complicated or process, or you don't have to look at the cookbook, it's just mixing literally flour and water. You bake it very quick. Of course, a handmade matzah, shmura matzah, have to be very guarded from the moment they take it from the field and the harvest and bring it to the right place and shipping it to the right bakery. And the baking and preparing the dough is very, very special. Everything has to be very kind of restricted or special or mehudah in a quick way so will not rise. So the process from the first second that you cut the wheat till you got the matzah, the process is very unique, very special, and very specific to make it to be a kosher mehudah handmade shmura matzah. But still, it's not so clear how this simple flour and water contain godliness, contain the basic, I would say, foundation of our life. Because what life without emunah, without faith? How we can go in our life, day-to-day life and special thing, if not the faith and the huge trust and belief and confidence that there is Hashem, there is God around us, there is Hashem with us that help us, guide us, provide for us. So the part of the faith that we gain from eating the matzah on Pesach, not on Yom Kippur, lady, but when it's on Pesach, is the connect to the story of the matzah. When the Jews went out of Egypt, they were very much in rush. They didn't want to miss the boat and not the train and not the airplane. So they were very much in rush. They took the dough on their shoulder and they rushed out of Egypt. Did they know what hotel they're going to be? Did they know how long they're going to be out? Did they know what's going to happen later? How, where they're going to eat? What they're going to eat? Is there any McDonald's? Is there any water bottled water? They didn't know anything. Usually each one of us, when we go on or embark on trip, first of all, we take what we need, whether it's 4 hours or 4 days, even on an airplane, most of us will take stuff. But we know what to expect usually, and we prepare accordingly. When they left Egypt, dear friend, they did not know anything. Still, they maintain a huge faith, emunah. They trusted that Hashem will provide for them all what they need, physically, spiritually, protection, food, where to sleep. It was not easy. They were in slavery mentality. They didn't know anything what's going on outside, but they have that faith. And that quality or that attribute, to trust, to be confident, to remain positive, despite the unknown, despite the cloud, despite the thing that you do not have information. You know, people with high anxiety, when they do not know why the next or do not know exactly what's going to happen, they feel very stressed. And some people can have like panic attack or not even function. They did not have that. They have the faith from within that thing will be okay and God will provide.
Thank you.
So
Mazal, we're going to need
first
to go
night-
on to the next speaker in a few minutes because
I need the 2 minute scale up,
Okay.
please.
Mhm.
So the first night, the matzah is the food of faith. The second night of the Seder, the matzah is food of health, mental health, physical health, emotional health, all kinds of health. So just for you to know, of course, it's huge quality in connecting to Hashem and trusting that Hashem will provide, but there is a little difference between the focus of the first night and the second night. So matzah brings us into the consciousness of faith and knowing whatever we're going through, Hashem will help us, Hashem will provide, and Hashem will protect us. And the more we make it clear in our life, not just abstract, but clear. Yes, things happening, but Hashem will help. It will be more real and more clear. The more we see, the more we believe, and then the other way. The more we believe, the more we can see the handly God, the godly hand in our life, the godly private providence, the godly intervention. And the last part, I say one word before ending, that Nir said, the last piece is not ritual, like most of the 15 steps. It's just kind of acceptance. Feeling that what we did, we try our best, everyone try her best in the effort to celebrate the Seder and Passover. And we're asking Hashem, God, to accept our effort, to accept our service, and to be able to move forward. Wishing you a happy and kosher Passover, and may you be able to find 1 or 2 points that you would like to do some kind of change, and may you have the whole help from God and from yourself to be able to move forward.
Amen.
Sameach.
Chag Sameach. Thank you. And we'll internalize that and share a modern day exodus from slavery from a good friend and somebody who I've learned to admire in our Mommy and Me programs, Joelle. She has shown in her most humble way how she can cope and go through challenges, yet still not like that, let that take over her. And so she's definitely come out of her slavery in that way. And I want to hear her story.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Kayla and Mazal. This is a beautiful program, and I'm really grateful to take part in it. It's lovely. So thank you. My name is Joelle, and a little about me. I live in Akron with my wonderful husband and my 2 beautiful daughters that go to Mommy and Me, Sienna and Maxine. Some of you may also know my family. My parents, Audrey and Paul Baker, are active members at Temple Israel, and my sister teaches Sunday school there. I also have an older sibling who goes by Simha and lives in LA. Apart from my family, I'm an artist and the proud owner of a newly launched print shop here in Akron called Monochrome Canvas. I sell my artwork and clothing that I design on my website. And if you're interested, you could check it out at monochromecanvas.com. And there's also a craft show coming up at Temple Israel in April where I'll have a booth. I was invited on this call to share my story with living and coping with sickness. So a couple years ago, after the birth of my second daughter, I started experiencing some pretty horrible health issues. I was exhausted all of the time and my body ached constantly and my joints were inflamed, among other increasingly difficult and uncomfortable health problems. Despite my concerns and frequent doctor's visits, my symptoms were dismissed as typical postpartum problems. But I knew something was more wrong than that. It was frustrating and disheartening to have my symptoms dismissed by doctors who didn't seem to take me seriously. I felt like I was being told that I was imagining things, my symptoms weren't real, or that I was responsible for living an unhealthy lifestyle. That was probably the most difficult to hear because I was tracking all of the food that I was eating at the time and exercising 5 to 6 days a week. So it was emotionally exhausting to constantly fight to be heard and taken seriously. And I started to develop a great deal of anxiety going into any doctor's appointment. Fortunately, I started advocating for myself. I demanded to see specialists and got blood work and testing done. And even when my primary health provider rolled his eyes and inferred that it wouldn't be fruitful. Eventually, working with both the Cleveland Clinic's functional medicine department and a very kind rheumatologist, my new health specialists were able to determine that I was afflicted with an autoimmune disorder called Sjogren's syndrome that was likely triggered by the hormonal shift I experienced after the birth of my daughter. It was a relief to finally have a name for what I was experiencing, but it was also daunting to realize that I would be living with a chronic illness for the rest of my life, especially considering that most people afflicted with this disease are not diagnosed until much later, and there's no real drugs that have been developed to treat it. One of my biggest struggles has been dealing with the physical symptoms of the disease. There's days when I'm so exhausted that I can barely get out of bed, and even the simplest tasks like washing dishes or taking out the trash can be very difficult because of a lack of hand strength and joint strength and lots of aches and pains. And as you can imagine, taking care of 2 young children can be a huge challenge. But I've learned to adapt and find new ways of doing things, and especially when it comes to asking for help. Another challenge has been learning to adapt to a very restrictive diet. There are no approved drugs to treat Sjogren's syndrome, but an anti-inflammatory diet can help ease the symptoms. For me, this has meant giving up foods that I love and learning to cook without a number of ingredients. It's been a challenge, but I've learned to be resourceful and find new ways of enjoying food. And when I say restrictive, I mean that since the last October, I haven't been able to eat grains, dairy, soy, or eggs. I have to keep my sugar intake low, and I can no longer drink alcohol. I am so deeply fortunate, though, because my family and friends have been incredible sources of strength and comfort. My parents and my sister help out with the kids when my husband and I need extra support and provide us with unwavering love and encouragement. I've also been especially grateful for the people who've helped me enjoy meals with them. Musi and Kayla have invited me over for Shabbat dinner, and they've taken great lengths to ensure that there was a full meal I could enjoy. And it meant so much for me to be able to share that experience with their family. Also, my husband is an incredible cook and has worked hard to replicate all of my favorite recipes from restaurants that I can no longer go to. It's really hard to adapt to a diet like this, but this kind of love and support definitely makes it more possible. Although living with my chronic illness can be difficult, I'm grateful for my ability to manage my symptoms. While it presents challenges, I'm fortunate that it doesn't pose an imminent threat to my life, and I'm able to enjoy my life with my loved ones. And for that, I'm deeply, deeply grateful. And despite all the challenges I do face, I have hope in a lot of the little things. I've seen a lot of improvement as a result of my strict diet, and it's really gone a long way to help ease my joint pain and improve many of the symptoms that I was experiencing. I also have faith that there's always progress to be made in medicine, and hope to learn of more therapies and treatments that will continue to help me feel better with time. Living with a chronic illness is never easy, but with perseverance and a supportive community, it's possible to find strength to overcome even the toughest of challenges. We're getting closer to Pesach, and I see so many similarities between my story and the struggles of the Jews escaping Egypt. Similar to the Jewish people who persevered through slavery and hardship, I didn't give up. I kept pushing for a proper diagnosis and treatment plan, and I've learned to adapt and find new ways of doing things that help, even if it means eating the equivalent of a dry, stale bread to survive. Just like the Jewish people who have leaned on each other for support during their journey out of Egypt, my family and friends have been there for me every step of the way. I wanted to share my story today because living with a chronic illness can be incredibly isolating and challenging. It's not easy to talk about these kinds of things, and it can often feel embarrassing or, feel misunderstood, especially when you have good days or bad days. But I believe that it's important to break down some of these barriers and encourage others who might be going through similar experiences. I just hope that those of you who may relate to my story in any way find a renewed strength and perseverance to advocate for yourselves, and know that you have a wonderful community to lean on that is very evident by this call. So thank you again for inviting me to speak, and I've really enjoyed this program.
Thank you so much. And that was definitely, we will learn lessons from you, and we take from the Pesach story as well. It's connected, and God willing, God will give us strength with every step of the way that he gives us the challenges for. And that's what Pesach is all about, to know that we can tap into that strength that Hashem will give us to just go out of our slavery and be able to find whatever it is that takes us to have a better way of living. We have a little video that kind of depicts what you just said in the story about perseverance and strength. So let's hear that. Well, it's a music video. So sit back for a few minutes and listen up and enjoy.
Find that fire, head held higher, stronger day by day. Keep on climbing, keep on fighting, nothing in your way. All I know is it's the loose inside your mind. Fear that live inside your heart, the past you left behind. And I know you wonder how you can succeed, never realizing inside of you got everything you need. If you see what I see, you find the fire in your eyes. It's written on your face, you're a winner in disguise. If you see what I see, you find that you can overcome just by being who you are. You find that you already won. Tell the story of all you overcame, and it'll teach the world around you how we all can do the same. And I know through all the thunder that you walk through, every time you need a fighter, Hashem is there with you. This is your song. Find your voice. You're not alone. Find that fire, head held higher, stronger. Keep on climbing, keep on fighting, nothing story of all you overcame, and it'll teach the world around you how we all can do the same.
Here it is. I hope that helped to culminate and just give us a little bit of a picture with everybody's speeches and everything about going out of slavery and doing what we can. Even if we fall, we can stand, and Hashem will give us the strength to continue on. And now for our last part of the program, we have a special guest.
Okay, lady, I'm very happy to introduce you to a new friend that I just met last month in my recent visit at the Rebbe in New York. There was a special convention for women shluchot from all over the world, the emissary, and I was delightful. It was such a nice surprise to meet and be with a young emissary, young shlichot from Hicktown places, as in India, Bolivia, Philippines, Ethiopia, South America, Panama, and more. And one of them that stood up from the first day was Hani Kaplan. Hani Kaplan has a beautiful, beautiful Chabad house in Cozumel. I hope I'm saying it right. And I heard a couple of her stories. And the whole way she described about the work, the traveler, the community, and the huge seder make me to think and to want her to share with us her holy work. Hani, your devotion, your love, the way you connect to people, it's incredible. And I would like to thank you for making time, joining us in Akron, Ohio, to share your work, your holy work. Continue the Rebbe dream and vision that in every place around the globe, Judaism will be accessible and a great door to open to all. Good evening, Hani. We're ready.
Hello. Hello. So my name is Hani, as Mazal said, and we are here on an island in the Caribbean that is called Cozumel. It belongs to Mexico, and we have it's a fairly big island, I have to say. There are smaller ones around. Thank God we have a city here, 100,000 people who live here, and it's very busy though. It seems at the beginning when I came, I thought I'm coming to a little deserted island in the Caribbean, but it's not that way. This place has a lot of beautiful things to see. So people come to dive from all over the world. They do scuba diving. It's one of the 3 most beautiful places in the world for scuba diving. So even if you just put your eyes inside the water, your face inside the water, you see beautiful types of fish of all colors, and it's really beautiful. As my husband sometimes jokes and says that if you're trying to describe our island, just think of about when you buy a new computer and you open the computer the first time. So there's this beautiful palm tree and a beautiful beach. That's how it looks. So it's very beautiful. Challenges come with it. We have about 10,000 Israeli tourists after the army that come every year. So we have approximately 300 people every Shabbat who come to eat by us. And for like holidays, we can have up to 1,000 people, which is what we might be planning for the Seder night. Also, everything is last minute, so we can be with 150 people signing up, and in 1 week I can open up the signing up link again and find 800 people. So we just learn to invent food very fast out of just creating from nothing into something. Life here is full of surprises. I never know what is going to be my schedule. We have 150 Jews who live on the island, so they're the community. We call them community. They don't really know how to be part of a community, so we also teach them that. They're usually Jews that come here for work, for a short time, for a long term, and we teach them how to be family, how to support each other, how to care, just many things. It's become with time one big beautiful family, which is very special, to come to a little island in the Caribbean and to find Jews who care for each other just like a mother to a daughter, and etc., which is really beautiful. So that's life here in short. There's many stories that happen here because the Chabad house has so many people coming in. It became a center. It's the center for the Jews. Everyone knows you have some free time, you want to just have a coffee with someone, you just go up to the Chabad house. So you can come at 9 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock at night, any time in the day, every day, and the place is open and it has people. There's people who come to play games, board games, people who come to talk and learn about Judaism, and people who just come to have a nap on the couch. It could be anything. We also have 3 restaurants and mikveh for women and for men. Also, we have 2 school that we opened, and a kosher store and a kosher bakery, and it's just around the clock. So we're very busy. Getting here is on a boat. Many people ask. So getting here is on a boat from mainland. If you land in Cancun, you can go to Playa, and from Playa, you take a boat to Cozumel, or you can land in Cozumel. There's an international airport in Cozumel, which is makes life a lot more comfortable, which is nice. You're welcome to come. I'm here. And thank God we've been married for almost 9 years. My husband opened up here 5.5 years before I met him, and I joined. So since then we have, thank God, 4 children, and that also keeps things busy. And that's life here. So that's the basic idea of where we live. And I was asked to speak about freedom, which is something that's very special to me. Mazal doesn't even know how much it means to me right now. I feel like I've been going through a lot of freedom myself too. And the speaker who spoke here before also reminded me of, after it was my 4th labor, I also went through a very big story. It was Pesach 2 years ago. I was cooking for, I think it was maybe 700 people, 9 months pregnant, having contractions between pots, getting another pot on, another contraction. I had a special chair for contractions in the kitchen, and I just kept on cooking and cooking. But the whole time, I'm so used to it. This is for me just like another regular woman making a pot of pasta. So I'm making, pots for 700 people. Even if I'm 9 months pregnant, I'm used to this. So my body's used to it too. And I didn't feel stress, but I felt that I can't breathe well. And I just felt I can't breathe well. I kept on trying to explain to people, I don't feel well. People who are close to me, my husband, some close friends, and everyone said, honey, you're stressed. There's so much going on. You're stressed. And I told them, no, it's not the stress of Pesach and being so busy doing all these things. I feel that it's the baby screaming. She needs to go out. And I just kept on feeling it. And days going by, 3-4 days, and the worry kept on growing, and I felt she really needs to go out. So it's mid-Pesach, and we go to the women's doctor, and she tells me everything's fine. She didn't turn over yet, which means that you might need to go into C-section later on, but right now, don't even think about it. You're 36 weeks pregnant, you have time. And I start asking her, so how do I go into C-section tomorrow? And my husband looks at me shocked. What are you doing? We're planning a Shai Rivo show in 5 days for the Mimuna, which is a big party the day after Pesach. What are you thinking? We're planning such a big show. We also are right in the middle of Pesach. Why are you thinking to even do a C-section? And he's so confused. I told him, let's speak after, but I have to ask the doctor these questions. And I keep on asking her more and more questions about how I can get the C-section done tomorrow. And she just kept on answering me how it works, what are my reasons, etc. And we go out of the office, and I keep on speaking to my husband, and he is so confused. He's telling me, honey, please don't do this. There's no reason to do this. And it's so not typical of you. You have good, healthy labors. Why are you trying to go into C-section so much? I told him, I really need to get this baby out. I don't know how to explain it to you. I feel that it's stronger than me. It's not about my decision. If you can choose to save your child's life, you need to do it. And he told me, Hani, you're just not making any sense. The doctor said everything's okay. What's pushing you so hard? Okay, so try to breathe in, breathe out. You'll see you'll be okay. So I told him, let me call my mother, maybe my mother or no. So I call up my mother and she tells me the same thing as my husband. There's no reason for you to take out a baby if you're 36 weeks pregnant and everything is okay. And the doctor is saying everything's fine. So I speak to a friend and to a sister and everyone is telling me the same thing. Honey, we don't know what you're thinking. You might be tired and anxious. And after many months of pregnancy, and I keep on telling them, it's bigger than me. If all of you are going to be against me and not agreeing with me, that's fine. I'm going to have the C-section tomorrow. So I don't know if you guys heard of writing to the Rebbe in the Got Kodesh, which is a book that people write a letter, put it in the book, and get answers through it. And my husband decided to write a letter, and he got an amazing answer saying that his wife has very serious reasons and we need to take it more seriously. It's very important and that things need to be done. So it calmed him down and helped him to support me in such a random decision that didn't make any sense. But the next morning we went into C-section and I was very, very worried. I didn't know if I'm doing the right thing. I might be crazy. What is going on with me? But when the baby came out, the I don't know what it's called. I'm used to saying these words in Spanish. The children's doctor took her right away, and she started checking her. And usually they're supposed to give the child to the baby, to the mother. So I asked the doctor, is everything okay? And she tells me, wait, all stressed. And I was like, oh my goodness, is she alive? She said, yes, she's alive, but wait. And she keeps on checking and checking and checking, and the time is ticking. It felt forever, but finally she tells me, I'm bringing the child to you. You need to see her. And she brings her to me and she says, look at her. And I'm already waiting. I didn't even know what to think about anymore. She says, you have a healthy child, but you had a miracle. Why did you decide to take her out today? I understood that it's your decision. I said, I felt she needed to go out. So she said, well, you had a big miracle, because if she wouldn't be out today, she would be in a wheelchair for life and never be able to use her hands. Oxygen wasn't coming to parts of her body. And you felt what she was saying. She was saying that she needs to go out right now, and you took her out on time, because look at her. She looks now fairly weird. Her body, she had parts of her body that were very, very skinny and parts that were very chubby. And she just looked very unhealthy and dark purple, and it really looked bad. For a whole month, I just had her dressed, and only friends would shower her and change her, which never happened. I was always the one to care for my kids 100%. I love my babies and caring for them, for everything, every part of it. But with her, I just couldn't. Every time I would see her body, I would burst out crying, understanding how much it didn't make sense and how much I fought through everything and just felt so strongly that there's something here that I, as a mother, can feel, that no one else can tell me differently. I know that something is happening. And it's not from my emotions, it's not hormones or anything like that. There's something real that is a strong connection between a mother and a child that I can feel. And I know this child is screaming that she needs to go out. And that was my miracle with her. I remember months later, I just kept on, every time I would change her diaper, I'd be holding her feet and her legs and saying, my miracle, every time I would get emotional about it. And people would ask me and I would tell them what happened, because it was just such a shock to realize how much sometimes the people who love us, and even my child so much, couldn't feel what I felt. And what I'm trying to say in this story is that was my Pesach freedom, that I got a healthy child, thank God. But in life, we find ourselves many times in situations that even people who care for us very much don't always understand fully what's going on inside. And we really need to try to close our eyes, breathe in, try to connect to inside and feel what is that strong feeling that we feel, that comes from a real place, from that gut feeling that we know that there's something real happening here, and we need to connect to it, and we can't push it aside and shut it out. When it's real, we need to do something about it. It's very important. So that's my Pesach freedom from 2 years ago.
Telling her
Thank you,
something.
honey. Unbelievable.
And she
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much for your story. Is there anybody
Pleasure.
with questions for her?
I would think the question we keep at the end. Let her.
Oh,
go
I'm
with-
sorry.
Yeah. So it'll be
It's
easy.
okay. I want to go on telling more stories about a little more about the life here. So we find ourselves dealing with many young people starting off their life, usually after the army, working in those booths, those Israeli booths that sell creams and stuff like that. If you ever met them in malls, so
Yeah,
we
we
have a
have
few of them here. Yeah.
Yeah, we have them in Ohio too. Yeah.
So we have many of my community are young people working in that. And one day I met this girl, her name is Osher, young. I think she was 22 at the time. And we start speaking and she starts getting interested in Judaism. Who said God created the world? Why do you guys dress with like these long clothing? Why do you have a wig on your head? This is so weird. Why do you do this? And we keep on answering. I kept on answering her and speaking, and we got really close with time. She was by us for a few months here on the island working, and every day, almost every day after work, she would come to the Chabad house and we would sit and speak. Sorry, there's someone at the door.
So far, so good, ladies.
Sorry. Here they just ring and ring. So I find myself speaking to Osher, and she tells me that she's really amazed by all of this knowledge she's getting coming to the Chabad house. We're learning every day, learning Tanya. If you've heard of it, if you learn it, it's amazing. It teaches so much. Even throughout life, just basic connections between you and the people around you. It really helps you understand so much about everything going on around you. So she was enjoying learning so much, learning everything in Judaism that she was able to put her hands on. She was just enjoying it so much. And she kept on keeping a little more here, a little more there, learning more and admiring this whole idea of Chabad and just so much that she never knew before. So she starts keeping Shabbat, she starts keeping kosher, and a little more here, a little more there. And she got to a level that she was keeping just about as much as me. Besides the fact that it was very, very hard for her to cover herself more. She was wearing pants and like t-shirts and stuff like that. And she said, I understand fully why you do it, but if the minute I'm gonna wear a dress or a skirt, I'm not gonna have any friends anymore. My family's gonna cut me out. I'm gonna be weird. And she said, I love you so much and I love your ways, but for me to take on such a thing means cutting myself out of everything. And I can't do that. And I want it so much, but I know how much I'm gonna lose. It's not that I'm going to change, but the people around me know other people who changed so much, and they're scared that that's what's gonna happen to me too. So they'll just push back themselves, and then I'm gonna miss out on them in my life. So she said, I don't know how to do it. Right now it's a question mark. I'm just gonna continue life this way and I'll see where it will go. And that's what happened. Months went by. She kept on working and coming to the Chabad house and coming to my house, but she couldn't do anything about dressing more modestly. And then my daughter turned 3 a week before Pesach. That's her birthday in a few days too. Again, she's turning 8 now. And she turned 3 and she was so emotional about herself starting to light a candle, which we do in Chabad when we turn 3. A girl starts lighting candles, 1 candle, and then when she gets married, she lights 2. So she started lighting her own 1 candle. She got a candlestick for her birthday, and she started dressing with skirts and with longer shirts. So she was so happy that she's dressing like mommy that she was speaking about it with everyone. So she's going around the community and all the Israeli tourists who have never thought of dressing that way or lighting a candle. And she's like, did you light a candle? I lit a candle. Did you light a candle? And she just keeps on going on speaking about these subjects that were so interesting and special to her. And then Pesach came along, which her birthday was just a week before Pesach. And it was towards the end of Pesach that Osher asked me, she said, you know, I've been seeing the religious women here changing outfits between one meal to the next meal. Let's say there's a meal in the afternoon and another meal at night. Is it like a Jewish thing that you're supposed to be doing that I didn't learn yet? So I told her, no, it's just like women enjoy dressing up and they finally have a good reason. So they just go on a shopping spree and just keep on changing their outfits every day, a few times a day, just for fun. So she said, well, I want to do that too. So she said, Hani, you look so tired. Go home, rest, and I'll take Libby, who just turned 3. I'll take her with me to my house and I'll look after her for a few hours. So I said, Osher, thank you so much. I'm saying yes to that. And I went home to sleep. So Osher comes back a few hours later to the Chabad house, fairly late. It was already, my husband already did Kiddush, and finally she walks in with Libby. And she walks in and I was so confused. She was dressed fully like modest, 100% like I would dress. She had this light blue dress, I still remember till today, and this jeans jacket on top, but she was so covered up. It was like, what just happened? Is that by mistake, by accident, you know? She walks in and she couldn't even walk through the Chabad house. It was full of tables of people. And for that, I don't know why, I guess God planned this on purpose, but the whole community was there that night. Everyone who knows her in her life, all of her friends in Cozumel, everyone was there. And she was walking through all of these tables because they came fairly late. Later on, I found out that she didn't realize that a 3-year-old takes her longer to walk. So she came a little late with her. And she's walking through all these tables with all the people she knows in Cozumel in her life at that time. And everyone said, wow, Osher, you're dressed like a religious woman. Wow, it's so beautiful. I've always wanted to dress that way. We're so proud of you. You're so amazing. I respect you so much more now. You're so beautiful just this way. It's amazing how it's so natural to you. And they just kept on going on and saying good words. And she was so shocked. I met her on the other side of the table at the end. And I asked her too, Osher, what's going on? And she said, well, I didn't plan to dress this way. I took Libby to my house and I decided I'm going to change my clothes like every other woman that I saw here, all the religious women here who are changing their clothes. And I asked Libby, what should I wear just for fun? And she offered me a dress and a jacket. And when I put it on, I looked in the mirror and said, oh, that's an interesting combination. I never did it before. So Libby laughed and said, I dressed you tzniusly. I dressed you modestly. You know what? Well, that dress is a long dress that gets almost till the floor, but it has these thin, it doesn't have sleeves. So I also connected the jacket to it. And then now you're dressed just like mommy. Now you're dressed modestly. And she was so shocked. She realized that Libby totally played this game on her and dressed her up modestly, but she felt uncomfortable. So she decided to come that way to the Chabad house, but didn't realize that everyone is going to be there that night. So she said, I guess God made sure that this whole story will happen. So I will realize that as long as I have that same smile on my face and I say hello to them and give them a big hug, just like before, they're going to understand that yes, Osher has changed a little bit. Like she doesn't hug men anymore, but she loves them just as much and she cares for everyone just the same way. And she's just the same person with a few little changes, and that's normal and healthy. And that's okay that a person will change with life, and it's not so scary anymore. And that's it. She went back to Israel. She went into a seminary and learned a lot more. And she's now married with a child, and she's Chabad. And she always says to people, they ask her, so how did you become religious? So she says, my Rebbetzin was 3 years old when she makarved me. So that's her story. And that was her freedom. She realized that freedom is about just being yourself and not being and being fearless and saying, this is me and this is the beautiful me. And I feel beautiful covered, and I will show you that I'm the same person. And we can continue our relationship just the same way. And it doesn't mean that if I am now a little more taking on different things in my life, it doesn't mean that I'm a different person. It just means that I found more happiness through being more connected to God and to what He expects of us as I see. So that was really beautiful to see that. And Libby till today always asks, so how is Osher? And she always feels like she's her. They have this special connection, which is really nice. Even though Osher has been in Israel for years, they're still in touch, and hopefully they're going to come to visit soon. So that's another story that we had here on Pesach. And third was, so we live on an island, as I said, and it's a third world country, to whoever doesn't know, which means that life here is not easy. Okay, it looks beautiful. Many people walk into my house and say, I am jealous and your life looks perfect and you have everything. But living our life is not easy at all. Firstly, having a Chabad house for tourists means that we don't get donations, hardly any donations from anyone. Usually many Chabad houses for tourists are in debt, by the way. So if you ever meet a Chabad house for tourists and you can donate to them, it will really help them. The tourists after the army don't have any money. They hardly even pay for Shabbat. Usually they don't, or they pay part of the money if they can. And which means that all of our costs, and we have many costs because we don't have just a kosher store that I can go into and buy kosher products. Making tomato sauce, I need to literally cut tomatoes, cook them, turn it into tomato sauce. Hummus, which is a very basic thing here, that has we can find really big animals inside, not talking about bugs, real big animals. There's really weird things here. There's mosquitoes of all different types, all different things that you can't rely on many doctors. There's all different things that come together with living in a third world country. And you can get the government taking things from you, which are really, really bad, like doesn't make sense. In a developed country, you would never have a story like that. Corrupt, very serious corrupt things. We learn to work with it, and we still enjoy life here very much, but it just means that the challenges are daily on some fairly basic things that in a regular country you're not going to have to deal with at all. I can call a person to fix the air conditioning in my house for tomorrow at 11 o'clock in the morning. He'll come 2 days later at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and call me up frustrated that I'm not home. It's really funny and different mentality here. So that's that part of life here. So it was just after COVID, and trucks were very hard to bring into the country, which we didn't know because we don't usually bring food into the country through the land. Usually we have food that's made in the country, or we just make it ourselves. So for Pesach, we bring in matzot and matzos, which are harder to find and to bring in. So we had everything planned out ahead, and we decided to get it the earliest we can, because we didn't know how long it's going to take. It can take longer because of COVID, and that's what we did. We ordered everything ahead of time. We were supposed to get it at least 2 months before Pesach, and days are going by and it's not getting here, and it just keeps on not getting here, and time is ticking. We're getting to 2 weeks before Pesach, 1 week before Pesach. It was, I think it was 2 years ago. It was the Seder night was on Saturday night. So Friday morning arrives and the trucks are still not here. We don't know where they are. We don't know when they're coming. We don't have who to talk to. Many truck drivers don't even have a phone. So you really can't know what's going on. And I'm cooking and cooking and cooking. We have so many people to cook for and prepare and clean. And I went to my room to prepare for Shabbat. And while I'm preparing, I remember myself I burst out crying. I was so worried. I said, what am I supposed to do? My husband's going to stand up and tell all the people that we don't have matzot for Pesach? What are we supposed to do? we don't have anything. I think we had one box that someone just brought like that afternoon, one box for hundreds of people. And I remember myself crying and crying and crying, and I was trying to calm down, but I felt so emotional about this. We did everything. We worked for months. We tried everything we could, and nothing, it just didn't happen. And then I calmed down and I said, you know what? Shabbat is coming in, and you're not supposed to be sad on Shabbat. So I'm gonna shower now, and I'm gonna put on my makeup and hide all the tears, and I'm gonna go to the Chabad house, and I'm just gonna continue on because I can't do anything more. It's almost Shabbat. And I showered, I put on my makeup, I went to the Chabad house, and as I was lighting candles, I put my hands on my eyes and I said to God, God, I've done everything I can. I've cooked and prepared, and I cried, and I did everything I could in my abilities, but I'm just a person, and I have done the maximum that I can do. So I am telling you now that now it's Shabbat, and I'm not allowed to cry, and I'm not allowed to be sad. That's what you asked of us as part of keeping Shabbat. So I'm gonna stop here, and I'm gonna be happy from now, just as we have everything perfectly set. But now it's in your hands, because these people hardly have any connection to God. They hardly know anything about Judaism. And it's in your hands. If you decide to make them see this miracle, that the matzot will come, well, they will come and you'll make sure it will happen. But if not, I'm going to say that God decided this way, that we're not going to have it. And I'm going to believe in you. And I'm going to say that God decided this way, and we're each going to get this tiny little piece because we have only one box for hundreds of people. But we're going to be happy no matter what. And I have done the maximum I can, and now it's on your part. Shabbos is now coming in. Shabbat is now starting. And this is it. I am letting go. I'm not going to be sad about it for 1 minute. And I opened my eyes. I gave hugs to all the girls. I said Shabbat Shalom, and we started. And people kept on asking me, Rebbitzin, where are the matzot? And I'm like, we don't have right now. It's in God's hands. And I just kept on saying it. It's okay. Now it's Shabbat. We don't need to think about it. Everything will be okay. We're going to have everything we need. And we go to sleep, and we wake up in the morning, no matzot. They haven't come. And the prayers start, and they continue. And towards the end, a Mexican guy who works for us runs into the Chabad house and screams out. He says, the trucks have just gone onto the boat. They're coming. They're on the way. The matzot are coming. They're going to be here exactly on time for tonight. And that's exactly what happened. They came exactly on time. And people, they were crying. They were so emotional. They said, God listened to us. He knew it. We're here praying, and we're asking to please have matzot for Pesach. And he listened to us, and he made sure that by a miracle, we don't know how, they're finally on the way to us, and they're coming exactly on time for the Chag. So freedom can be letting go. We're finally letting go. I am letting go. I rely on the one who created this whole world. Why shouldn't I? I did my maximum. I did everything I could. And now he can do so much more. So I'm allowed to let go. And my freedom is to say, God, I rely on you, and I let you run the show, and you can do it. And if you decide not to, that's perfect too. That's exactly how it should be. And that's okay. So that's my conclusion. We should listen to ourselves. We should let ourselves let go and let God run the show. And we should just let ourselves be, because many times we're just so scared of ourselves at the end of the day that sometimes we're the ones who are not letting ourselves the freedom. So may we all have luck with everything we do and find happiness and health in every way. And I hope to see you guys here.
Thank you so much, Hani. What a beautiful story. What a courageous woman are you. Beautiful. Can you tell us something about how you do the Seder with hundreds of people in a third world country?
Ooh, we work very hard. We cook and cook and cook. It's a lot of work. It's signing people up. We really don't know how many people we're going to have. We're between 300 to 1,000 right now. We have no clue.
And you do 2 seders?
Yeah, but only the first one many people come to. The other one, because they live in Israel, so they don't keep the second.
Right.
Yeah.
And the guest and the tracker help you? They do work in the kitchen?
No, well, they do sometimes a little bit. It's just they say they're gonna come, then they don't come. They're young after the army. They don't even, they just play with whatever's happening right now. So if they planned on coming tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the evening and suddenly they're having a beer on the beach, so they're like, oh, whatever, so I won't come. So we can't rely on it too much. And with the Mexicans, they also live like they're on vacation here. So you can have a top chef who's supposed to run the show, and he just doesn't show up because he went to the beach, which is a good enough reason for him. He'll say, what do you mean? My cousin's niece had her 4th birthday party, so I couldn't come.
Wow.
You're like, you were supposed to cook for 1,000 people, Yes, but it was her birthday. So that's the reasons they give. And so we just learn to deal with all different situations like that. People in my community love watching me when there's a lot of stress going on in the kitchen, because I just become like faster than a machine. I cut so fast. I've learned to deal with crazy busy situations. We have a lot of surprises. We don't really know how many people are coming to many meals that we have. We can have, for a regular Shabbat, 100 people sign up and 300 people come, and we can't even cook. So I invent things out of like nachos with like some type of salads and stuff, and just like tuna, and try to invent food so people won't feel uncomfortable and have plenty of food even though they didn't sign up. But yeah, life is interesting. We don't say no to anyone.
Incredible. Incredible.
Yeah. My
Wow.
kids have become big helpers too. My
How
kids,
old is the oldest?
what? Sorry?
How old is your oldest?
She's turning 8
Yeah.
in a few days. It's
And how old
funny,
is your baby? How old is your baby? The one that
She's
the miracle story. 2?
She's on Pesach, she's gonna be 2.
Amazing, amazing. Well, we should have a lot of kochot and a lot of strength and a lot of blessings and miracles, revealed miracles.
Amen, amen to
all you
everyone.
do. And we should have L'Shana Haba Yerushalayim. We should all be together with Mashiach in Yerushalayim.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you, everyone. We're going to end with the Shana Haba song, and everybody could just sing along and clap along.
Honey, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Pesach Sameach, and we do have matzah for everybody. Shmura matzah. If you're able to come and pick up from the shul, we'll be happy to bring. If not, we will be in touch with you and make sure that you have shmura matzah for Pesach. And if anybody you know needs a seder, let us know. And Chag Sameach.